Hi guys, this is Natalie
and Nadia
from Survivor San Juan del
Sur.
Sur. You got the winner and then
Shut up.
And you're listening to Maxwell Survivor with all the fixings.
Yummy.
Oh, thank you very much, Natalie and Nadia. This is Survivor with all the fixins. I'm your host, Max Dawson. I am here with Katie Gallagher.
Hello.
Katie, of course, the runner-up of Survivor Palau, member of the mighty Koror tribe, the most dominant tribe in Survivor history. I think that's the official statistic. And Katie, also an accomplished reality TV producer in her own right, with credits that include shows like Naked and Afraid XL, The Challenge, Sarah Palin's Alaska, many, many more that hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about. Very happy to be here in Los Angeles on a hot, balmy October night. It's about 115 degrees in Katie's apartment. That's why we are drinking a bottle of Rodney Strong on ice. Rodney, thinking about you, buddy. We are also running off of the battery of my MacBook because I somehow managed to forget the AC adapter. So we might unexpectedly cut out in the middle of a sentence. Katie and I both known for our verbosity, not people who usually can keep things within an allotted time frame. So it could be that we just boom, and if that's the case, we'll just finish the podcast in your mind. Just imagine.
It will be perfect.
Imagine the sort of conversation that we're having here. A special shout out to Sophie Clark, who I think is watching right now. Sophie wanted some proof that it is, in fact, over 70 degrees right now in Los Angeles. Ugh. Demanded that I take my clothes off on the podcast. So I'm going to start out by doing that. Hold this, please.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Do not need to. That's not the way we want to start. But to start, Katie, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming over here. This is really amazing and professional. I'm very impressed.
It is so unprofessional. It is. She's obviously not watched any of the episodes. Just wait till you see what it looks like when it's on camera.
I'm sweating.
I'm sweating too.
Sweating. It's very hot.
And it's not just because of the heat that was generated during last night's incendiary episode. I'm being facetious. It was probably the first dud of an episode of the season, and part of the reason being perhaps because the star of the show, Jeff Farner, is no longer with us.
Moment of silence. I love me some Jeff Farner.
Love you, Bae. And part of the reason because they telegraphed who was going home within the first 30 seconds of the show.
Did they ever?
But as a producer, I'm going to ask you some questions specifically about how not only last episode, but the storylines of the season have been composed. But before we get into things, Ian, don't you know I'm podcasting? Sorry. Do you have any friends in this season? Do you have any people who you know who are in the mix?
I do. I have a lot of friends in this season, whether or not they know it or not. Yeah, it's weird. I find myself trying to watch it. I was trying to watch it without necessarily rooting for anyone. But what's really interesting about this season is, and what I love about this season, and I'm sorry I haven't listened to any of your podcasts, so pardon me if it's okay. Repeating what anyone has said in the past, but it's so fun to watch people. Everyone really wants to be there, so it's just crushing every time someone gets voted out, and it's even more interesting to watch because I'm watching people that I know and that I love out there.
So name names.
Well, Terry's a good friend of mine.
You played with Tom, not Terry.
I know, but they're the same human. No, but Terry's a good friend of mine. I know a lot of people. So it's I'm trying not. I knew this was going to come up.
Do you not want to say?
Because then you're going to ask.
This is exactly what I want to know.
I know you're going to ask me other questions later, and then I'm going to be like, nope, I don't want to talk about that because I'm friends with people. And then you're watching, I'm like, oh, I'm friends with Abby. I'm friends with Woo. So then there's that interesting little dynamic that's happening on this episode.
Well, that's always fun when one of your friends on the show and another of your friends on the show are not getting along so well.
I mean, and it's really crazy knowing so many people that are all out there together. But I also don't know them I know, Steven's a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't played with them.
Yes.
And playing Survivor is a lot different than knowing people in a social interaction.
Yes, definitely.
So Survivor just strips you of everything that makes you human and normal. You go out there and it's like, wait, what? Or it just makes you ever more the person that you are.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, not as if we were normal to begin with.
None of us are normal.
No, definitely not. So you don't really want to talk about who you've been rooting for, and that's okay. It's not fair to root for someone if you've got lots of people who are in the mix right now and competing. We did both express our mutual appreciation for Jeff Farner, and I'm sure as a producer you probably have an additional sense of appreciation for someone who can make the producer's life so easy by giving such good content. But the question that I wanted to start out with is there life after Varner for this season? Because it pretty much was the Jeff Farner show through the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, of course there is. I think that because he's such TV gold, you didn't really get a chance to see a lot of other people. And unfortunately, watching it as a producer, I'm just like, oh, he's going to go early. There's no way. They're trying to get everything they can possibly get from him because he's going to go. And that was what's so sad, because I was like, there's no way he doesn't have like a winner's edit, because they're milking him for everything that he's worth, because they're not gonna have him this whole time. That was my thought, and then I was like, don't even put that out there, but then I turned out to be right. I think that we haven't gotten to know a lot of people, just like every other season. There's people like the elusive entity that is Kelly Wigglesworth. I mean, first of all, who is Kelly Wigglesworth? She's like Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing. It's like, who is she? You want to just stare at her. Like, I found myself like Googling images of Kelly Wigglesworth because I just want to see what her face looks like. She looks like a totally different person from when she played the first time. But then they talk about her in the episode and you don't even hear from her.
It's amazing.
You don't even hear from her. She's an enigma. I'm fascinated by Kelly Wigglesworth. And sorry, Wigglesworth.
She could be
Wigglesworth.
She could be going home, and yet she hasn't said more than 2 words of the entire episode.
No, and she's like a beautiful Survivor
statue,
amoeba. She's just like a thing that just like floats around, and you hear about her. You hear what other people think about her, and then it's just like, okay, insert bite from Wigglesworth is supposed to be there, and there's nothing. There's not even a shot of her doing anything. Maybe moving a banana. No, you get a shot of that monkey face, that baby monkey, instead of Wigglesworth. Or her just being pretty. She's like a statue.
Yeah, it's very strange.
She must have had the worst interviews in the world.
You have to wonder, right? And,
yes,
and
I
again,
want to pull her for an OTF right now and be like, what's going on?
As a producer,
Crickets,
how do you work?
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I was waiting for. Yeah.
As a producer,
Wigglesworth, what do you got?
Kelly, what do you got for us? Oh, actually, hold on a sec. Hold on, we can actually do this. I think we have this built in. We'll practice. You'll do you're the producer on the beach, and you're doing a walk with Kelly Wigglesworth. Okay, and seat, go.
Okay, I'm pulling her for an OTF. Is that what we're doing?
Just,
okay, because
hit her with some of the questions.
Clearly, it's talk around camp is it's you and Fishback. What's going on? What are your thoughts? Great. How do you feel about that? Okay. We're going to use that. Okay.
And scene. I don't know if the sound effect actually came out. I should actually program in the cricket to the soundboard. And maybe even I'm also thinking a dial tone just might be appropriate. It's amazing. She's been on television before. I mean, and I know that she's come into this and very much stated that her intention is, I'm here to play the game. I'm here to win $1 million. I'm not interested in being famous. I'm not interested in being on television, social media, any of that stuff. but it is a television program.
She must have cock-blocked those producers so hard and just not said a word.
How do you tell the story of a contestant or a participant who won't participate, though?
Well, you can if you're a good producer. Then you just don't. I mean, there's ways to like edit them. You know, there's ways you watch them and you shoot them doing whatever they're doing. But she must have just, you know, she's working hard. That you get bites from other people, which is what you're hearing is that she works around camp.
Yeah.
You know, they're telling the story with other people. You know, you're using other people's bites because she must have been a terrible interview. She must have not said things in the correct format, or she must have been singing happy birthday the whole time, or just something that just is not usable. I don't know. Or maybe they're waiting for some big thing, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me. I want more Wigglesworth and I want it now.
Yeah. Well, while you've got your producer's cap on, I wanted to ask you a few other questions that I was hoping you could answer through that lens.
Okay.
The first being, what are the big stories that you see them telling this season, thematically, as well as, you know, their practical embodiment in people like a Varner or an Abby or something? Yeah,
I need I really should have done my homework. Okay. I really should have taken notes. We had this conversation before we started.
Well, you have your fake notebook.
I have a fake notebook, but there's nothing in it, which is really bad because I can't even use it as a fake notebook. Well, I think there's always the I think we're leading up to a lot of things. I think it's just really obvious. We're leading up to a lot of things. We have the rise and fall of Terry. Obviously, that he's, you know, we're setting up for a lot as of now.
And isn't it kind of sad? It's sort of like,
no,
to me, no, it's sad because it's like,
Terry,
it's telling the story of like when your dad hits that point in his 40s. You hit that point.
Terry
in your
is
teens.
not even in his 40s.
Well, Terry's in his 50s.
Yeah, I know he's the oldest guy out there.
So
I just talked to him the other day. He just turned 56. Happy birthday, Terry.
I'm kind of trying to compare to that moment in your teens where like one day your dad is the coolest guy in the world and all you want to do is throw the football with him in the backyard, and the next day he shows up to pick you up at junior high and you're so embarrassed.
I still think Terry's cool, but I am old school.
No, I think he is too. But I'm saying his position in the tribe right now, where the five people are grouping together and they're saying,
I know. And Keith is like up in that game, and I love it. Keith is setting it up. Unless whatever happens next week, which I did rewind like 5 times to try and see what is happening when Probst comes to camp. I was like, who is he talking to?
Probst is making a booty call to Savage. That's what it was. He was trying to slip into the shelter without anyone notice.
Savage's story. Oh my gosh, the redemption. Savage's redemption.
I'm here. Shh. Hold me. Savage.
Oh,
Savage.
Okay, so Savage is being set up as the hero for that like underdog tribe. Abby is going to go insane and kill everyone.
Okay.
She's going to combust.
Is she going to blow up in Tasha's face like she has in everyone else's face?
No, they're going to have to get rid of her because she's going to combust.
Okay.
I think.
So you think her over Wu?
Well, they're setting it up. She is going to self-destruct.
Yes.
I think we're
like
setting that up.
The house that's been on fire for the last 24 hours and is just a pile of smoldering embers is going to self-destruct. I mean, it's more.
I don't want to say this because I have a feeling like I love Abby in the real world, but
of course, Abby is a delightful person in the real world, and we're talking here exclusively about what we're seeing in the game. We're not even talking about what we know outside.
I love these disclaimers because we're both afraid she's going to kill us.
Oh, of course. No, I went on the record one night. I tweeted something. Like I tweeted something. Varner said, "Abby, you turn me on." And I went, "Abby, you turn us all on." And she texted me like 3 seconds later saying, "What does that mean?"
Right. No. Right.
I was like, "It was positive. It was positive. I was just quoting Varner." And she's like, "Okay, because you don't want to get on her bad side."
No, because she's outside right now.
She might be.
She is
we
outside.
Are in LA. She could be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is she listening?
No, nobody's listening. There's 47 people are listening, and I don't think Abby's one of them. But okay, so back to the storyline.
If you're talking about Abby, she's listening. Even if you're not talking about Abby, she makes it about Abby.
Yes. We were talking about Terry.
Woo's mom and her heart became about Abby's knee.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a moment. I pulled some audio from that. I was hoping we could discuss that because
Probably
of course
my
Abby
favorite thing, which I said to
did have a
myself
knee
that
surgery. That's why you didn't know.
right. Which is completely related to Woo's mom.
Yeah, I mean, not since Dan Foley, said to Shireen, you're a survivor of abuse, but I am adopted. Has a survivor contestant made such a false equivalency? Here's a story I want to know your take on.
Oh, sorry.
Old school versus new school. Is that a real thing?
Okay, great question. And I was thinking about it because I had this feeling that if you were smart, you would ask that question because smart. You are smart. I know you're smart.
I'm terrible at Survivor, but I'm very smart.
Well, I'm maybe great at Survivor-ish, but no, I don't know. I've been questioning my intelligence lately. Because there's no way in hell I go back and do this again. Because I know I love Jeff Arner for that reason, and also Steven, because I would never go back and do that. Not that anyone asked, but I would watch and be like, oh, every time Jeff Arner fell, I was like, oh, I feel it, because I was terrible at that. But you're also watching someone that's like a human. Not everyone can play Survivor and go out there and do as well as some of these people out there. So there is this, to get back to your question, to answer your question.
Yes, old school, new school.
Is it a thing? And this was Jeff's question last night. I think he's like, well, whatever his statement was, well, this is where old school and new school, whatever. I don't think it made any sense. His statement,
as is the case with most things that make sense these days.
I don't think their vote last night had anything to do with old school and new school. No. I think it had to do with the social game of Survivor. Monica saying, don't take those clams out of the sea, bothered Kim. And Kimmy's like, nope, she's out. She's out. It bothered her. It was annoying. And when you're annoying on Survivor, you're out. You are out. If you're not the majority, you're out. And Kimmy has the majority, and that's what happened.
Well, but I mean, we've seen lots of conflicting evidence this season that Abby has certainly been. I'm not gonna. Okay, old school versus new school. Is it a thing? Are there different games? I mean,
yes.
I guess technically, having been on season 10, you would be someone who's thought of as old school. Right. But to me, I see Varner playing, when he was still in the game, a new school game, and Woo playing an old school game. So it doesn't necessarily to me.
It's like a new. It's not like a really. There's a very fine line. You still have to play Survivor. Yes. You still have to play Survivor. But when you throw in, I think when you throw in these like hidden immunity idols, that's where the game really shifts when it becomes a new school game. Yeah. But Survivor has always been a game of, making alliances and being able to think on your feet and change things around. It really depends on each individual game is different. So if you're good at Survivor, you're going to be able to adapt. And that's not a new school way of thinking. That's Survivor.
Yeah. And that's something that you could say from as early as season 1. The people who thought they were just out there to build a new society on a deserted island are the people who went home, whereas the people who recognized it was a social and strategic game were the ones who were around on day 38, day 39.
Yeah. I mean, old school, new school, it's Survivor, and you have to be able to adapt.
Here's another theme that I see throughout the season, and one that I'd like your take on, both as a former player and as a producer. This theme of reinvention, change. Mm-hmm. Can these people, all of whom have obviously been cast on the show because of their possession of some sort of personality disorder or defining psychological maladjustment, can they undergo some sort of significant rehabilitation and change, overcome the initial flaw or sin that defined their character in their first incarnation, and somehow transcend that and reinvent themselves as a new player who can in fact go all the way?
I am a fan of this. I think yes, I think people can change. I think that if you are aware, if you're self-aware and you want to take those, steps to change, I think that's great. But I think that we're being beat over the head with this idea. And it's like, okay, stop it. Okay, Abby is not trying to change at all. She's not. He's saying that, but she's not. She's also saying, I will kill you.
Yes, you will be dead.
You will be dead to me. And she's like, I am the new Abby. No, you're not. You're not. Sorry. Oh my God, she's going to kill me. She's going to kill me.
Well, the good news is she's not going to listen. She's too busy retweeting people saying nice things about her. So
which is great.
Yes.
I really do.
Don't you wish you had Twitter on your season?
Oh my gosh. You know what? The big thing that I don't know. I was in
on your season, or Friendster, or
there was the internet. There was just Survivor Sucks, and they were so mean. And I was like in fetal position in the corner, like I wanted to die, and we weren't allowed to defend ourselves. We were supposed to be on the island still.
Oh yeah.
And it was horrible. And I really, I wish I could have defended myself. I really wish I could. I mean, it was,
So Abby's not changing, but one person who seems to be trying really hard, and at least according to what we're being presented with in the form of the edit, who has undergone some sort of growth, is Spencer.
I do love myself some Spencer.
Me too.
He is, he's one of those people that when I met him, he was like, I grew up watching you as an infant. And I was like, I just turned into, the oldest man in the world. I'm a man. Not only did I turn into a man,
your ovaries transformed into testicles in the moment.
But he reminds me of, he's like
when you were a
young boy that I was.
A young lad.
He is, and I think that he's being set up for a hero. Win.
I mean, he is sort of, along with Joe, the franchise right now. I mean, he's kind of the guy, and not that I in any way object to that, but his narrative of change is very much about getting in touch with his emotions, and I see that as being one of the big themes this season. He is getting in touch with his emotions,
or is he just doing that for?
Well, yes,
because he knows that's what we want to see. Because he's also a student of the game,
and he's also great in terms of working with production to give. One of the things that
hats off to him if that's what he's doing. Great job, Spencer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he is one of the people who does a great job of sort of taking the cues he's receiving and embodying them with the knowledge that they're being put out there for his benefit.
Right.
And I'm not saying that they're cues in terms of who to vote for or who to align with. They're cues about who to be, how to be. Do you think if you were more sociable, more connected to the people in your tribe, you might have a better chance of aligning with them? Those sorts of cues.
I mean, if you pick up on those questions that the producers are asking you, that you can be led in a great way. You know, I mean, if someone, for example, keeps asking you how you feel about Kobe, for example, on my season, how do you feel about Kobe? How do you feel about Kobe? When nothing has happened with Kobe and I know that Kobe's talking about me, so that's how you learn. I learned how to be a producer by watching the producers.
Yeah.
I learned what was happening by listening to, what the questions were that they were asking me. So if you're smart, you do that. And if you've played before and you get the opportunity to play again, if you're not learning from the producers or learning from Jeff, then you're really stupid. Then you don't deserve to be there, in my opinion.
So there's this theme of emotion is good, but that intellect is bad. Overthinking, overplaying, strategizing. There's this. It seems like
when Jeremy says you're bugging on the preview for next week.
Yeah.
To Steven.
and our mutual friend Steven Fishback has been on the receiving end of this sort of campaign against not only intellect but intellectuals. It seems like everything about Spencer's transformation that's positive is that he's getting out of his head and into his heart.
Right.
He's going to be able to see his lovely girlfriend and tell her I love her. He's going to connect with people in an authentic way. Well, meanwhile, Fishback is completely disconnected, can't even muster a tear at Andrew's beautiful story about meeting his gorgeous wife. He's strategy all the time. He's thinking, he's planning, he's plotting. What is it about this season that has resulted in this portrayal of Steven and what he stands for in this incredibly negative light when, it is a very legitimate, appropriate approach to playing the game of Survivor. It works. We've seen it work in the past. It's not like Steven's a fool. Why is he being portrayed as one?
I don't know. It's an interesting, I don't know. Is it because where are you going? Are you just, I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating because I love Steven. And he's so funny and he's so smart. And I watched a lot of his other, outtakes of his interviews and, I don't know. There's a lot of other elements that we're not taking into consideration too. If Steven was better in the challenges, would his strategy around camp be
Steven, does emotion come into a vote for you?
Jeff, what do you think?
Oh my God, that was totally unplanned. That was just the microphone cord touching something. Yes, if he were more Terry and less or Cochran.
Right. It's just I think there's a number of different elements that make him I don't know, he becomes more paranoid than strategic,
Yeah.
Then they're playing it that way. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is. He becomes, instead of him, helping around camp, they show, him just being this kind of clown, and it sucks because you don't know what he's really doing around camp. He's probably doing the best that he can, and I definitely, he's got a great attitude and he's definitely not, he's not like whining about anything, but personally, I know, in my season, there was a lot of other things that were happening, around camp and, everybody has their role. I don't know how it seems like he's getting along with other people and we're not seeing that at all.
And the thing that we know as people who would call Steven a friend is that he's one of the most personable, charming,
hilarious,
warm people. Just the sort of, and I wrote this in my first power ranking for the season. I had to assess all the players, and I said, everyone's been talking about how Steven's going to be perceived as this giant threat and targeted, but once they're out there 5 minutes and realize they could have a conversation with this guy, that he listens, that he's cooperative and personable, they're going to love being around him. That hasn't been the case, though, it seems, at least from what we've been shown. It's more that he's an outcast. He's surrounded by these alpha males. He's continuously being shown to be physically inept, to be incompetent.
Which is like, if he's, he's getting this second place or less at it,
Yeah.
At this point.
It's one of the things that's bothered me the most about the season. Because Steven is a guy who, apart from my own personal affection for him, he's a great ambassador for the show. He does the blogs, the podcasting. He always is someone who's such a team player, such a cheerleader for the franchise.
Yeah.
And to see him out there getting, up until recently, an overwhelmingly negative, unnecessarily negative edit.
He's so funny too. He's so self-aware that while he's talking, he's actually editing himself. He's like, oh God, I'm going to come off like this. I'm going to come off like this. And it's an interesting take that they're showing that, because it's just really interesting because he's out there and he's, aware of what he's saying and he's saying it anyway. And he's like, oh shit. Well, I got to go look for this. And then he's like, but meanwhile, Jeremy's out there and he has the idol now. And, it's almost like poor Steven, like, I don't know. And then you see him in the challenges and he's just like, oh
scoring
man,
for the other team.
No, I love him. I feel for you, man. I've been there.
Well, the tough thing too is that we finally reached a point where Steven is in a position where he's accepted. He's
and we don't see that. We don't see those bonds that he's making, and he's obviously making them. He made a power move.
We do know he's in with Jeremy, but the way that Jeremy lets him feel in is by sending them off to look for the idol that Jeremy already has, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, he's simultaneously in and out.
Yep.
Jeremy trusts him enough to want him to feel like he's part of his alliance, but simultaneously doesn't trust him enough to let him know that he has the idol.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what's going on at Angkor, because obviously they have been, and the people who make up that tribe have been the primary focus of this season. We talked about losing Varner. Just to begin, did Angkor make the right move in cutting Varner last week in favor of Wu?
Well, I think it was inevitable. I mean, he was also injured too, and they weren't winning. I think they were going to self-destruct, and you see now Wu's really strong.
Wu's amazing.
Wu is amazing, and they don't really. I mean, yes, I think to keep themselves around, yes, Varner wasn't physically going to do anything.
And you start to wonder also, or at least I do, the one common thread is that every tribal council up until this episode, every challenge loss, the common denominator is Varner.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's single-handedly losing the challenges, but he definitely brought some bad mojo into it. Maybe it's Colby stealing the shit from the Great Barrier Reef or something like that, or the sacred artifacts. Or do we ever get to the bottom of whether Colby rubbed one out in the Australian outback? We talked about that in an early episode, and I was waiting for one of the listeners. Do you know anything about that? This one thing
I could probably find out.
Could you find out that for us? Because we're trying to figure out if anyone has ever.
My sister still just recently sent me a picture of Colby.
Really?
Oh, I have poetry written about Colby. Colby is one of the reasons why I was cast on Survivor. I mean,
Well, you're gonna have to tell that story.
I have my journal right over there. There's some art. Yeah, no, not that one. That is my journal though. Good move. No, I have a Survivor journal that's pretty funny.
Oh, can we? Oh God, we're gonna have to get that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
We're gonna have to make sure 54% battery. So let's go quickly. All right, and then Monica's voted out.
Oh yes.
And that's the end of the episode. Okay, wait. So hold that thought. We'll get to the Survivor journal in a sec. Angkor made the right move in voting out Varner, but now they still
love Varner.
Yes, we all love Varner.
It's not the same. We all know last week was there's clearly not enough laughs, and
yes, there's a decided tonal shift in the series with him not there. He was the narrator. It was very much a first person story about this guy having his midlife crisis. A star turn, certainly. And of course, it's not the last time we'll see Varner on our TV, whether it's Survivor or some other show maybe that you'll produce. We need more Varner.
I want to be on a show with Jeff Varner.
Yeah, well, hook it up.
Yeah.
Let's go though to Angkor Beach, sort of out of we're going to jump around in the timeline a little bit, moving from beach to beach. But let's listen to a clip of a conversation that occurred around Angkor Beach after Wu felt compelled to share a very intimate story about his family with the members of his tribe.
Someone like that to go through what she did and never give up, because she loved us, and there's no way she wanted to let us go. To me, that's huge inspiration to, keep fighting for what you want.
Great story, Wu. So scary. La vie est belle. Life is precious.
Yeah, man, I love life. My mom got a second chance, so I'm definitely playing this game for my mom and for everyone that's voted for me too, because without them, I wouldn't have a second life at this game.
My grandma had to lose the same thing. I didn't have the same luck. Yeah, I lost my auntie too very early.
Wu just kind of annoyed me a little bit. I think that Wu's totally using that story to sway people his way. Sure, he might have had this situation happen to his mom, and I feel for him. But hey, I had a tendon transplant on my knee. If that, I have someone else that's part of their body inside me too.
Abby has someone else's part of their body inside her, and she's not talking about Pete at this moment, mind you. Very, very interesting moment where especially if we compare it to the earlier scene with Andrew sharing the very intimate story about the meeting his beautiful wife, and the sort of anger that Stephen provoked when he didn't respond with the appropriate level of emotion. Here we have Abby hearing this really heartfelt story about Wu, a family tragedy that Wu's mother was able to overcome, a kind of defining life event. And Abby's like, yeah, I blew up my ACL and my auntie. I mean, the kind of consummate example of making it all about you. I know that you prudently are apprehensive about talking about Abby, likewise, but I want to know, what is it like to play with a difficult person? Because you played with your fair share of emotional, difficult people, men and women. Do you have any experience to draw on that might lend some insight into how to deal with an Abby?
Well, I wasn't very good at doing that.
You were not a Tasha. You were more a Peih-Gee.
I wouldn't. I was a Katie. I left my. I left that at the door. And on purpose. I knew that being stripped of everything that makes us feel comfortable, that there was going to be impossible. I was going to have to listen more. Listen. It was a note to myself to try and listen more to people. But I definitely never wanted to be fake. That was something I wanted to be true to myself. And but I also didn't want to do anything that was for the cameras. I never performed for the cameras ever. And it got me in trouble.
How so?
Because I don't have a filter on my face or my face hole. So, if someone was doing something, I was always the one to get in trouble for it, even if other people felt the same way. I was just called out often. But when dealing with difficult people, I think that I swallowed my words sometimes.
Okay.
Like, for example, Karen came up and told me off in one particular situation. She was just over me and had it up to here. And I was like, because it just is never a good idea to give back. You just kind of put up this wall, this wall of this images that I have. It's just kind of like a rainbow around yourself, and you just smile at the person and you just laugh, because what can you do? That person's going off and people just go crazy, and everybody's crazy anyway. And we're a big giant circus. Anyway, everyone that's on Survivor is crazy in their own right. And we've been picked for a reason to all be crazy. Yes, in our own way. Everybody has something. We've been put together for whatever reason because our personalities clash. And so you have to swallow it for a second and just breathe and let it go and know that there's just a moment. And if you're lucky, 39 days, it's just a moment, and it will pass. But everybody is has their own journey. So you just have to kind of swallow it and try and take yourself out of the situation. And my brother-in-law, who's like my brother, he gave me a good visual to use. And it was a view from above. And imagine when you're having a moment like that, or someone else is having a moment, imagine yourself on the stage. But you're on the stage and everybody is a player performing a show, but you see yourself and you see everybody else there too. But imagine that you're up like, behind the curtain, and you're viewing all of the players, including yourself. And you're up above, like on risers, as if you're going to drop snowflakes or whatever. And it was this big visual imagery thing. And so take a moment and, climb the stairs and walk up and take your props or whatever it is, and view everybody from above, and take that moment and view everybody from above, so you can take and see how everybody's playing out, and just take a moment so you can just see, including yourself, and see how that situation plays out. And it gives you a second to just chill, because sometimes everything's just fucked up.
Well, that's a really brilliant way to describe the manner in which one can cope with the sensation that you have when Karen is, and another thing, and you know, dressing you down and telling you everything that's wrong with you and your game and your personality and your morals, and to be able to remove yourself to that level not only allows you to prevent yourself from responding emotionally and turning the situation into one in which you further are going to, that's going to act further to your detriment, but you're also being able to survey the entire terrain and see, well, in doing this, Karen just moved herself further away from Tom and moved me closer to him. You're able to see the lay of the land.
Right.
And you're able to keep at the forefront of your mind, not who the hell is this cunt who's yelling at me? Sorry.
Right.
And Karen's ghost or Karen's spirit just knocked the notebook off my. Sorry, Karen. She's not listening to this, is she?
No.
I didn't mean
not.
Karen is a cunt. I just meant. Fuck! I've already said it twice now. Do you want to go on record and say Karen is a cunt?
No,
Okay,
no,
I'm sorry.
no.
I didn't mean to say that.
We've all gotten over that. I mean, that
I'll
was.
edit, you know what? If you want to say it, I'll edit it out.
No, I don't. I don't. We've made
it might
up.
be cathartic. Just say
I
it.
would
and
never
see if
say
you
that.
feel-
Those four letters. I
Just
would never say
say
that.
it and
No.
see if you feel better.
No, stop trying to make me say that
Well,
word.
then you have to say it to her. Say it about
No.
Abby. Say it about Abby.
No, oh my god. I would never say that word ever.
Is there anyone who you want to say it about from the show?
No, because you're trying to put that word into my mouth so then you can
Are you
edit
going
it.
up on the ladder? Are you sprinkling the snowflakes while I'm
No.
saying the C word?
No.
It's a terrible thing that I just said. I really think it was you trying to get me to say it that made me say it.
You said it twice.
Sorry, I've lost my place. Let's shift beaches and let's bring ourselves over to, you mentioned earlier clams. Let's talk a little bit about clams.
You're talking about clams.
A Long Island delicacy, apparently. Hold on one sec.
By the way,
Trying
there's
to push
so
Kimmy
many
to not.
clams.
Sorry, say
There's
again.
so many clams.
Many clams in the sea.
So
my
the
mother used to say
giant
that to me.
sea.
The giant sea. And hey,
The
did
ocean.
you see today in the news, Palau has announced some sort of waterway protection. It's going to have the largest protected ocean area in the entire universe.
Universe?
Well,
Including Mars.
you know how like in your Survivor contract it says this universe and all known and
Yes.
unknown universes for all of time. I just wanted to say that in case there are other protected ocean areas in other.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram while I was waiting for you to come home. Anyways, where were we? Clams.
Trying to push Kimmy to not really grab as much as possible all the time, because we could be here for another 27 days. And if we keep just eating everything in the water, there's not going to be a lot left.
There's 3 clams. That's all I'm bringing.
That's a big difference now with this second chance, is that I'm not living day to day. I'm more looking at the end of the game, and I still have to keep my options open because there's a whole other game out there.
We got your crab. Yes, we got crab and we got clam.
We got crabs and we got clams.
We got crabby. too.
Crabs and clams.
Sorry, there's
there's apparently a perp on the in the
perp on the
vicinity.
loose.
It's been a while since I've lived on the east side. I miss the helicopters. We don't get those in Topanga.
Ugh.
A couple questions. Number one, eat or ration? Is this an issue you had to deal with?
We're talking to the biggest fatty in Survivor history. Eat.
I mean, you were annoyed because you didn't get to go on every reward. So
no, I wasn't. It was a promise. It was about a promise.
It's
no.
been 2 days since I've had cheeseburgers and milkshakes. So
It was a promise.
You promised?
No, it was a
So
promise. All you have in Survivor is your word.
That's going to cost you $1 million. Anyways.
All you have is your word on Survivor.
Yes.
I don't care about a robe.
And-
I don't care about a
And a clam.
Corvette.
And a clam.
Okay.
Eat.
So,
Eat. Yes.
I like
eat.
that you know everything.
I'm on team eat.
Eat. What the hell? It's an ocean. There's a tide. They might not be there tomorrow. It has nothing to do with what?
Eat the food today, or else. What I always said when we were in Survivor Worlds Apart, if I may talk about my season for a second, I said, eat the rice, or else Rodney will come eat it after we merge.
And it could spill, and you expect the animals.
Someone could pee in it.
Someone will pee in it. Someone will spill it. Like I mean, I'm sorry, we didn't have rice. So
talk a little bit about you had nothing, but you had very ample naturally occurring foodstuffs, right? No,
you
had the ocean.
We had the ocean. Shark was not something that we had.
Clams.
We had banded sea snake that we weren't allowed to eat after they shot us, killing them for 6 hours.
And
they wouldn't let us eat them. The producers would not let us eat them.
Are they a protected species or?
No, they will kill you in 10 minutes if you. But we chopped off the head of the snake. Which takes all the venom out. But they didn't want to take that risk, so they wouldn't let us eat them. But we hung them up, and then all the blood came out, and then that's when all the sharks came. But that wasn't for days. I mean, that was like 22 days in or something. But we had clam, and there was a lot of fish, which we didn't know how to catch. We weren't doing very well at fishing, but I mean, it's Palau. It's like the #1 dive spot in the world. Like the fact that we couldn't catch fish was really stupid. But we won a reward, and they brought fishermen in who taught us how to fish, and then we knew how to fish, and then we were killing it. Pun intended. But yeah, we had coconut. We could have lived on coconut.
Naturally occurring coconut?
Yes, naturally occurring coconut.
Nice.
Yeah, but there was no rice, so it's Palau. The theme was death and war, and they were trying to kill us. So that was my season. I like to think that my season was like the most brutal.
Well, I've heard horror stories about the conditions in Palau, more related to season 16, to the fans versus favorites season.
It was horrible.
Infections and.
I almost died from Palau. It's fine.
Yeah, I just learned that today.
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Really? Yeah.
You beat that.
I beat that. Yeah.
Wow. And for people who don't know, do you want to just give a?
I got an infection. From a bite on my shoulder, which then led to an infection that I got in my throat. Basically, I was sick, really, really sick after Survivor. I never really got better. I just always had like a weird thing of bronchitis. Eventually, these infections led to cardiomyopathy, which is what Terry's son had. And my ejection fracture was 10%. Danny's was 8%. So they put me on a list for a transplant if my heart didn't react to the drugs. And my heart did react to the drugs. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And all from a bug bite.
They don't know what it was. But yes, I mean, I had these major abscesses, one in my shoulder. And then like a year later, I got this terrible abscess in my throat, and I was hospitalized for a month for that. And then they kept giving me medication for bronchitis, and it wasn't bronchitis. It was if they would have just done an x-ray, they would have seen that it wasn't bronchitis. When I finally went to the hospital, it was all of my internal organs were filled with fluid, and they just didn't know what it was. I mean, it was healthy otherwise,
Well, they're not accustomed to treating tropical viruses.
No, I should have been seeing, I was seeing different doctors. I wasn't always seeing the same doctor, and they didn't know I left the country. And now that I travel a lot for work, I'm more hyper aware, and obviously with my history and everything like that. But it's been 7 years now. And I still take medication for my heart, but they're just weaning me off. But my heart is at 67%, which the normal ejection fracture is 55%. So, or 65%. I don't know. Whatever. I could run a marathon.
That's good. Well,
if I was in better shape, I could run a marathon. But
your heart is not what's holding you back.
No, I'm just being a lazy ass.
Well, and that's something that
if anyone wants to train me, I could really use it.
And just to remind everyone, Survivor is a deadly game.
It is.
It's a miracle that more people haven't had serious issues. From our cast, we were talking about Rodney a moment ago, hospitalized after the season. I know Tony from Brains Bronze Beauty had terrible problems with gastrointestinal parasites and stuff like. I mean, people who just their lives are altered permanently by their time out.
Take a really big risk.
We do, and I think that the health risk is also compounded by the psychological risk that many people take. You know, it's not just that you could come back with cardiomyopathy or an infection leading to it. You could come back psychologically traumatized and completely unable to return to your normal life or reintegrate into society, which we see with some people. It's we talk about it, we make fun, we laugh, it's entertainment, it's a television show, but really we put everything on the line.
Yeah. We don't know enough about this psychological, sociological experiment yet.
Yeah, the long-term implications remain to be seen. You know, we're still waiting for, you know, the first former survivor contestant to snap and, you know, have, or maybe we're not.
It's happening right now.
It could be happening right now. And it could be because Abby heard that you used the C word to describe her.
You used the C word.
Okay, so what here's the question I have. What is Kimmy's problem with Monica? It's a clam?
Okay. What day are we on? Like day 13?
Yeah, ish. 11,
okay,
12,
this
13.
This is it.
This is when people
This
start.
is when, okay, you had enough. You're done with people. People are annoying. And don't tell me what to eat. You go out there, you're like, and I don't mean me, but like, you go out there and you found a whole bunch of stuff, which you know how exhausting that is to go and do. People don't think about that. They're like, I don't know, I just don't make a hut out of a palm frond. And you're like, you know how hard it is to stand up and walk out into the ocean? You're not just going out for a dip. Like Kimmy went out there and found all that stuff. You see her with that mask. And then for someone to say whether or not you can eat that or not is not, that's annoying. I think that's just annoying, and that just rubbed her the wrong way.
So social game failed there for Monica.
Yeah, I think that's what it. I don't know. You talked to Monica. What did Monica say?
Monica was very surprised, and this is actually gleaned more from exit interviews than anything. Very surprised that Kimmy and she were not as close as she thought they were. And a lot of people have. I saw a lot of comments today online where people were saying, "Well, if she didn't know Monica was that against her, she must be playing a terrible social game." It's not that. You don't realize that just by being yourself, doing your normal day-to-day, that you could be the sand that's rubbing back and forth inside the clam that produces the pearl, which is this is a horrible metaphor. Like, and suddenly the pearl is voting you out or something like that. I don't know. I think that she saw very much the situation through the lens of, okay, I made an alliance with with Kimmy early on. We've got much bigger fish to fry than any sort of interpersonal beef that we food metaphors that we have with each other. I haven't eaten dinner. I'm kind of hungry. Why would this be an issue? But it is true. The thing to do out there, you want to eat a clam? Eat a clam. You don't want to eat a clam?
You got the clam. It's your dinner.
Let other people have opinions. Just say yes. There's really nothing to be gained. Someone's making the shelter in a way that is gonna is gonna be uncomfortable. Let them. It's them creating their own hangman's scaffold, tying the noose around their neck. You saying something about it, causing a problem, that's you taking the noose off of them and putting it on yourself. Eat the fucking clam.
Yeah.
Don't go home over a fucking clam.
Yeah, and it's so early, and it's like it really was she got bamboozled. She really did. And I think that she just assumed it was going to be girl power, and Kimmy just.
Yeah. And we'll come back to that. I want to talk about that, especially, you have a history with trying to put together or be a part of a women's alliance that one of the potential members of actually torpedoed. But let's actually shift beaches again, go to Takeo. Because Takeo, I think, is an interesting, there's an interesting set of parallels between Takeo and Koror. They are so dominant. They seem basically invincible. They haven't won everything, but they're right up there. I mean, they've got Joe, they've got Terry, two of the greatest challenge competitors of all time, Keith, who I think is an extremely underrated challenge competitor. They have a 5-person strong alliance. Sound like anyone that you know? And they've got the sort of enviable position of never, for many of them, having been to tribal council. And you know what that's like. When you don't go to tribal council ever, a lot of stuff festers. It can be a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You sort of want to go. If you have someone that's a thorn in your side, you know. I think that someone's going to get sick. Obviously, someone looks like someone, unless that's just a big red herring.
It could be. Those previews are often red herrings.
I hope it's not Keith.
No, Keith is
Keith is someone that is a friend of mine. That I loved him on his season, and when I met him, I pulled him aside and we had a long talk, and we sat and chatted, and I really like him, and he's someone that I always thought that I would bond with the older gentleman, which I thought Willard was on my season. Turned out that Willard was a liar and said that he was a mailman, and he was totally lying about who he was when he was a lawyer, and like completely lying, so we could never get along because he just lied, which makes me love Willard even more.
Yeah.
But anyway, not to say that Keith is like an old man, because he's not. He's a freaking beast, and he's so great, and I just love him. He just tells it like it is. But I agree with you. I'm getting sidetracked now. But
so yes, we've got this Takeo 5.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of Tom, Ian, Katie, Greg,
and
Jen.
Yep.
A really strong 5 that essentially ran the table.
Yep.
Dominated, but never, or not never, but for a very long time, never had an opportunity to get that therapeutic experience of going to tribal council.
It is not therapeutic to go to tribal council. I'm sorry,
No?
Jeff, but no, it is. I don't think.
Well, therapeutic to do a little ritual bloodletting,
right,
to get the poison out of your system.
Yeah, but there's not any poison over there.
Well, that's not what you were saying about Sierra before when you used the C word to describe her.
I did not. Would you stop that? I would never use that word ever.
Well, what about for Cass?
No, I like Cass.
Okay, that's not what you were saying before we started recording.
I would never stop that. I would never say that.
Let's listen to an
you
audio
saying
clip.
the C word 500 times about
Let's
everyone.
listen to an audio clip.
I like Cass.
Bayonne.
Got a good thing.
Oh, sorry, TKO.
Don't worry about merge time though. We need to figure this out. What is our plan?
The way that I see the merge working, we have to have a solid 5. If we can just stay solid 5 right here, we're good.
Yeah. Everyone in my season wanted to vote me out right away because they were like, Joe's the biggest target. Joe's the challenge.
But I have no interest in voting you out.
The difference from last time to this time of playing in my second chance is that I'm trying to pull in as many people as I can in order to have numbers going into a merge situation, because I'm still feeling like I'm the biggest threat. But I'm definitely playing the first half of the game much better than the last time I played.
This is final 5. Exactly. As long as we're all in an alliance, it's just all about getting majority with us 5.
What do you have to say to the Takeo 5? You know, they've got their Terry, they've got their Tom, they've got their Ian. Someone's the Katie. But what do you have to say?
Who's the Katie? There's no Katie.
Cass? I don't know. I thought you like her.
I do, but that's not me. I'm not making. Well, maybe she made some jewelry. I'm hammered. Okay, so first of all, Joe, I don't know why he's feeling like he's still a threat. He is like Swiss Family Robinson over there, like still just the golden boy all around. He's I don't know. I think he's a bigger threat than Terry is.
Oh yeah. Well, how do you play with someone like that? Because, you know, like
there's
I said,
a lot of threats. I just
if Terry is the Tom, is he the Ian? Is he the guy? I mean, he's good at everything. He's sweet. He's he's not the sort of babe in the woods, naive guy that Ian is. But he certainly has that sort of, golden glow around him of he can do no wrong. How do you play with someone like that? How do you play with an Ian?
You don't. You get rid of him.
But
do you get rid of, like, what's the point of those people? There's so many good people. Like, there's so many good people, but there's no reason to even talk about anything because no one's going anywhere. They're doing great now.
Well, but they're looking ahead. They're thinking when the merge comes, what's going to happen? Do we go back to our, respective tribes, or do we stick together? And it's smart for them.
5 is smart. Stick with 5, but expect the unexpected. I don't know. I would say 5 is good, but you got to make a couple this game is weird. You got to make some really solid relationships. And I think that's where it becomes old school for me. And I think that they keep pounding this into our heads because you have to build solid relationships or else everyone's just going to.
Hello.
I think everyone's just going to slit each other's throats. And I think they're expecting that everyone's just going to play so hard and no one's going to build any solid relationships. And no one's going to want to see that.
When do you make a final 5 deal with a guy like Joe who can win 5 games?
No, I don't make that with Joe.
Do you?
I got no shot. No.
When's the right time to vote Joe
for
out?
Me?
For you. When's the right time to vote Joe out?
See, I don't know Joe. I don't know.
When's the right time to vote out a guy?
Old lady. I hang out with Keith. That's who I hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
Although Joe is great because Joe gives me hammocks. I'm with Keith over there in the hammock.
He feeds you. He gives you hammocks. He gives you a massage.
And he seems to enjoy it.
He's pleasant. He wins the challenges for you. How do you vote him out? And then how do you vote him out after you've waited too long and he wins every immunity challenge all the way to the end?
See, Joe. I don't know. I mean, I come from a different land where there wasn't hidden immunity idols. So there's I don't see Joe finding a hidden immunity idol because he doesn't need one ever. But Joe's very aware of Joe being a threat. So
that's one thing that
Joe's
going to
be
his head.
Yeah. So he's going to be playing a different game. And if they're asking the same question, how are you going to play second chance? How are you going to play? So that Joe is going to be trying to play a different game this time around too. So he might play a little bit dirtier this time around,
Yeah.
So if they're asking you that question, everyone's going to be asked that same question too. So I don't know. I mean, you get them out.
Do you have any regrets that you didn't get out Tom and or Ian when you could?
Of course, because I think the biggest regret there is that people called me a goat and said I wasn't there to win, and I did what I could, but I was playing exactly the way that they keep saying. I was playing a game that I wanted to play with integrity, and that was important to me. I didn't want to play and maybe have Karen win. I wanted to have either.
Is it because you think Karen is a C word?
But I knew that I wasn't. I wanted one of my 5 to go to the end, and that was it. But I also was like, hey, I got one shot, and this is it.
Yeah, well,
and I didn't make a genuine effort.
It's a delicate.
But I also knew Tom was a 9/11 hero, and I was like, oh, America's gonna hate me.
Yeah.
Doing it for New York. I really was. And I lived in New Jersey and worked in New York during 9/11. And I'm telling you, I know that sounds like wishy-washy and people can say whatever they want. But I was like, you know what? This is rough.
Yeah.
If I'm going to give it to anyone.
Well, you didn't give it to him. You didn't lay
I
down.
knew I had no shot.
You knew you had no shot. But at the same time, it's that matter of we need him to advance. At the point where you want to cut him loose, it's too late.
I mean, I really did. In that journal, it does say win a challenge when it's important to win it. And not that I had any shot to win any of those freaking challenges. But at that last challenge, I was like, if I can win the last one, that's my only ammunition that I have at that last tribal council. I can say, hey, I won when it was important. And then I was like, these guys are not going to give up.
Yeah.
At all. What I got?
One of the questions, and we're low on battery. We were at 23%. So we might just start mixing. One of the questions was, how boring was it to sit there for 11 hours? I mean, at one point when I was watching clips of it today, Probst is lying down.
Oh, we fell asleep. Jeff and I talked about chips and salsa for like 3 hours. No joke. Because what people don't realize, blah, blah, blah.
Straight from the bottle. Here, do you want me to want me to pour for you? Here, you grab the glass. I'll grab the bottle.
So Probst and I sat there and it was like, I don't know, 7 hours in or something. Yeah. I passed out. I took my bikini top off. I put on Tom's shirt and like Willard socks. Because Willard socks were like a hot commodity. And what people don't realize is that, you know, production doesn't have, they're eating, but they have like limited food. They've been eating the same stuff for 38 days. And he didn't have any chips and salsa. They were eating just crafty or whatever. And so we sat there for like, I don't know, no sense of time at this point, but we were in a haze and we talked about like in detail, Jeff and I talked about what our favorite chips and salsa were. Because I would have this recurring dream about, and this sounds so stupid, but my favorite chips and salsa is from Chevy's. They make their own tortillas in the restaurant.
Okay.
And so I would have this dream. It was like a mixed dream. It was Chevy's tortillas they make fresh. And also McDonald's French fries. And the dream was that I was in line for McDonald's French fries, but it was actually the tortillas at Chevy's. But and the beeping was happening, the McDonald's beeping, the French fry beeping thing. And I could never get to the fries. Like it was just that dream, you know, like
yes,
it was a horrible dream.
The never ending dream.
It was just like in between. Then the rats were crawling on me and then I'd just wake up, you know, it was just the dream where you never get to the fries or you never eat the tortilla. And you never get to the salsa. And so we were just talking and talking and talking. And then describing the salsa and like how they make it. And so we're going back and forth. And we like both fell asleep. And then we like woke up. And then I'd like say something else. I'm like,
wait, Probst fell asleep.
I mean, he was, I don't know. I think he was asleep. I mean, we were, and then he would like pop up and say something else, you know, like, but there was silence.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we were all just
12 hours is a lot. Of time to fill.
And the crew was supposed to have their wrap party that night because they tested that challenge and it lasted 30 minutes.
Are you serious?
So I got to give some props to myself for lasting 5 hours.
5 hours.
Yeah. So then I'll tell you. So then they put us after like Ian gave up. They put us in a boat to transfer us to what we thought was going to be back to our camp. We didn't know where we were going because they thought we were just going to go right to tribal, or I don't know where we were going. It was really, really a weird haze. And so we go back in the boat, which is like a blacked out boat. I don't know if they still did that when you were on. So
yeah.
They put us in a blacked out boat and we all passed out because we were just super, super like punch drunk and just out of it. And then, you know, we would all pass out and then wake up when we got to our island. And then the next thing you know, Probst is like in our boat and we thought we were on our island. We're like, why is Probst on our island? And he's like, hey guys, don't tell anyone that I did this. I'm like, I don't care because whatever you're gonna do, sue me. Jeff will deny this till death.
Yeah.
And he goes, I know it's not chips and salsa, but it's something. And he threw a bag of Doritos in the boat. And this is technically it was day
39. The morning of day 39.
And we ate that bag of Doritos like a boat full of zombies. And the boat had never left.
Oh my God.
It was still at that place. And we ate all those Doritos with our gross water from our disgusting like water source at our island. And it was like so salty. I remember like it was so salty. You thought you could eat so much, but like I think I ate like 3 chips or something. But you know, it was just, you know, just stuffing in your mouth and it was so dry. God. And then he's like, I need you guys to come out. And then that's what you see on TV is him saying, okay, we were going to go to tribal tonight, but we didn't. And then that's when he said, I'm going to vote out my buddy Ian.
Oh, wow.
You know,
so there was that in between.
Gave us one small bag of Doritos.
Oh, so it was very interesting. So it was edited to make it seem as if it had
had gone on the boat. We'd fallen asleep. I don't know if it was 10 hours or 1 hour or 10 minutes, but Jeff Probst gave us food.
Fascinating.
Which
it's an ATF exclusive. And if you are, great opportunity to invite you to subscribe to the On the Block network on YouTube. On the Block is, of course, On the Block is the network that hosts Survivor with all the Fixins.
Oh.
It's a Big Brother themed network. By
I get it.
Spencer Clausen and McCrae Olsen of Big Brother. So yes, please subscribe to On the Block. Follow us on Twitter, FY Maxwell and Katie2 Gypsy.
Yep.
And please leave your comments on the YouTube page.
Do we have people watching us?
We have 48 viewers right now. Thank you.
One more person.
We are down to 19% battery, so we're going to move on.
Okay.
Let's talk about the end of the episode. Immunity challenge. Bayonne inexplicably decides to sit out Jeremy. Inexplicable, unless maybe they're throwing the challenge. And an interesting thing today, Monica was saying in a lot of her exit interviews, I heard rumors that they might have thrown the challenge. Somebody asked Fishback, did you throw the challenge? His response on Twitter was, throw is a strong word. Let's say we were comfortable losing. And my question is, why? Why is it so important to vote Monica out? We know that Kimmy's got some sort of interpersonal beef with her, but why do we need to get rid of Monica? And maybe this is a great time to go to another sound clip. Monica, after agreeing with Jeremy and Steven to go after Wigglesworth, then turns to Kimmy and suggests, maybe not the greatest idea for us to put ourselves, the women, at a numerical disadvantage. And this is kind of what ensues.
We have 4 original Bayonne, and these are our roots. Now, all of a sudden, Monica is looking for an old girl's thing. I have no idea where that girl's going, and she's going to ruin a really good thing. We 4 just have to stay straight. Done. 100%. That's it. Monica playing Survivor, she's just a liability because she's a loose cannon and she'd be a flipper.
Kimmy shoots down the idea of an all-girls alliance. Not only does she reject that idea, but she decides to take the good thing that she and Monica are a part of and to destroy it in order to demonstrate to Monica how misguided she is. Right. We've got a good thing going. Let's fuck that good thing up just so that you learn your lesson, Missy.
None of this is a good plan.
This is not a good plan.
No, and throwing a challenge is a really bad Survivor mojo.
And we don't know that they did.
Wow.
I mean, listen, Fishback, it could be either he could have very easily have been trying his hardest and still hit.
Ever throw a challenge?
No.
Survivor 101.
No. Well, it worked for Mike Holloway in my season. He threw a challenge. You could eliminate a thread if you've got the number. You think you're pissing off the Survivor gods.
Mm-hmm.
You're old school though. You don't.
I am. And also, don't.
But this is one of the.
You also have to give away the car when you win, or you'll lose all your money.
Yes, that's a very old school perspective.
I guess I'm old school.
And if you're up for Sprint Player of the Year, a real cut off your nose to spite your face moment where Kimmy, decides, we're going to show Monica, we're not going to let her ruin this good thing. We're going to ruin it ourselves. We're going to take these numbers that we have and we're going to throw them away by voting off one of our original tri members, not just keeping any other old person around. We're going to keep around Kelly Wigglesworth and just the sheer mention of her name makes you laugh. And Spencer.
Yeah.
Who's potentially one of the most dangerous people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Spencer
We love you, Spence.
One thing that I think that Spencer doesn't get enough credit for. He's so good at challenges.
He's so good. And now he's like, then they're giving him this like Lord of the Flies edit where he's like learning to fish with Jeremy, and he's like catching the smallest fish in the world, and they're like giving this like golden boy edit, and he's
Spencer's
like out in this giant bowl in the middle of the ocean.
The Hollywood casting version of a nerd. He's not a nerd.
No.
Spencer is incredibly gifted in any kind of physical challenge.
Right. And he said, they're like, oh, Spencer, let's jump in and do all of this and be amazing at it, and then lose, and then we love you, and then then you're like, don't, and then of course he's gonna like
he's
probably
likable.
propose to his girlfriend and tell her he loves her at the finale, and then they're gonna adopt a African child, and I can't. This is just too much. Spencer, congratulations for your $1 million.
Just please remember the little people.
Remember that conversation we had on the bus in Florida?
Who was the one who was texting back and forth with Marcella every couple of days? This is his girlfriend. Little did I know at the time that you didn't love her, but I was there for her, and I just want you to remember to be there for me when you do win the million. Spencer, yes.
I want to go. I've never been to a finale since mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd really like to go.
Well, we'll have to find someone to has extra tickets. But there is a real echo in this, and oh my God, we're in the red on the battery. So let's get into it. This is the moment everyone wanted to hear about your perspective on the Women's Alliance that's brought down by one of its prospective members. Could you please say we couldn't have a Women's Alliance because Kimmy sucks? We had many people asking for that.
Well, they couldn't have a Women's Alliance because Kimmy sucks.
Yes, thank you.
Although they also couldn't have clams because there's not enough in the ocean.
Thank you.
In the sea. Also, who is Kelly Wigglesworth?
I don't know. Somehow throughout that entire thing, I wrote down the note, Kelly remains stone-faced, which felt like a strange thing to write.
No.
But yeah, was it the right move? Was it the right move to send Monica home?
I didn't know who Monica was before this, so I'm sorry. I didn't watch her season, so I wasn't in town. And we didn't really see her. So once she popped up on the screen yesterday, I was like, oh,
yes,
this person.
Time for this person to go home.
Guess who's going home? That person who said don't eat the clams.
Who put yourself out there? I don't know who you're substituting yourself for, but who do you go after in that situation?
In that tribe?
In that tribe, you have the opportunity. Say you're part of that majority. You're part of the Steven, Jeremy.
I like
Kimmy,
how Steven's
Monica.
part of the majority, by the way.
Love it. But who do you go after?
Okay,
say you're Steven. Who do you go after? You've got an opportunity.
Who's
here.
in that tribe?
Jeremy, Steven, Spencer, Monica, Kimmy, Wigglesworth.
And the Wigglesworth. Monica.
You go after Monica. You really do. You leave Spencer intact.
Oh, Spencer. Sorry.
Oh.
No, we need Spencer.
If I say Jeremy, will you then say Jeremy?
No. Sorry. We need Spencer right now.
You need Spencer. Well, yeah.
We need Spencer to win right now. There's not going to be a merge.
What's on the horizon? What's next?
It's numbers game still. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're at 15 now.
We need Spencer for one more. But they're trying to mix it up, so.
Do we go down to 2 again before we go to 1? Do we stay at 3? If Anchor had lost, we probably would have had to go back to 2.
You know what? Spencer's more of a threat, actually, and this game is this. This is what's really crazy about this show. It's a show for me now.
Yeah.
I used to watch this and watch it as a player. What would I do?
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore.
You don't?
No. And I when you're asking me that question, I'm like, oh shit, I should get rid of Spencer. I should get rid of Spencer. That's a smart thing to do.
Well, we are down to 11% on the battery.
11
meter.
is the number of the day, by the way.
The number of the day.
We should just go until it dies.
Well, we're going to go
We
until it
promise.
dies. But we're going to have to squeeze in a segment we do each week here.
You should
on
also get out my
Survivor.
journal so I can show you a picture.
We should do that too. We're going to do the segment, then we're going to get out the journal. The segment is called, well, actually, I'll introduce it first with an audio clip.
Yeah, your mother's off too. Whoa. Oh.
Yep, it's time for Your Mother's a Whore. Our look back at the move that, or the words that one of the castaways will be regretting for the rest of his or her life. Of course, an homage to Dan Foley from Survivor Worlds Apart. What do you think one of the castaways will be feeling a lot of second thoughts over as they look back on this second chance from this week?
This week?
Yes. What will they be regret? Who will have regrets, lifelong regrets, based on what happened this week?
Well, I think the person that got voted out, Monica's going to have a lot of regrets.
About the clams, maybe?
Yeah.
About talking about the Women's Alliance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I didn't get voted out. But I imagine that would be...
Okay, Andrew Savage.
That would be really rough.
Yeah, it must be horrible to get voted out. Like,
Just kidding.
what do you even do?
I also didn't win, so...
To just sit around at Ponderosa? Like, oh my God. That must be miserable.
Also, let's just go back
on day
to
39 when we were having Doritos, we were talking like, what's Karen doing? She's such, she's a C word, but we really still. Listen, this is in your journal. I read this before.
No, it's Worm Woman. I call her Worm Woman.
Worm Woman. Why do you call her Worm Woman?
Because she looked like a worm when she was running on the treadmill. You'll see in my.
Okay.
It'll probably get cut off.
Which journal? But tell me. So you think Monica?
I don't know.
Oh
I don't
boy,
think
low
that Terry
battery.
has any regrets. But Terry's interviews are always brilliant.
Yeah.
When he's talking about how great life is, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Let's just go out to the grocery store," and then he's out there with this.
Like I said, it's when you realize your dad is embarrassing. He's still your dad. He can still kick your ass. He can.
No, I don't think he has any regrets. I think he's probably sitting on his couch and just cracking up.
No, I'm not saying he has regrets. It's not about him. It's about us. It's about you being
Terry's. We're
you
all
turning
Terry's children.
15 and realizing, oh my God, my dad is so embarrassing. Okay, I think it's Kimmy. I think Kimmy is the one whose mother is a whore. I think Kimmy is the one who's going to be regretting for the rest of her life voting out Monica because she just put herself in a position where she allowed her alliance, which is dominated by alpha males and Steven, and their new adopted alpha child, Spencer, who comes in the cloak, the wolf who comes in the cloak of the beta, who's actually an alpha. They're setting up these dudes to just have their way with the rest of the game.
Well, and also like she made a very emotional decision that was kind of like, let's do this, and they're like, yeah, let's do this. This is crazy, and I don't think it was a very thought out plan.
Yeah. It was very emotional. So let's get into some of the listener questions as we're wrapping up. One of your biggest fans, Imahu in Manila, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, from Reddit. One of your biggest fans out there wants to know about your fear of rope swings.
God, the worst.
And as you're answering that, I'm going to grab
my journal.
Which one?
I have two of them. It's a binder, not a binder, but like a bottom. This one of them.
It's an epic memoir. And the small one.
There should be no.
This?
No, that one.
The
it
first
should
one.
look like that.
It's not this.
Maybe it's that. Hang on.
Is this the one that has pictures of Colby in it? Still waiting for someone.
Is it.
Oh, still waiting
Good
for
morning,
someone to
Doubletree.
tweet us if they know the story about Colby rubbing one out.
Colby's penis. This is about
Okay.
Where Are the Babes?
Where are the babes?
I think it's about Colby. Yeah, Colby. Here's a picture of Willard.
Oh, hold that up. The internet needs to see
I
that.
think I posted this.
Did you post this on previously on Survivor, the home of the biggest Willard fans?
Monopoly Man. That's before I knew what his name was. Or
Get a good
anything.
look,
That was
folks.
just pictures. These are just pictures of me drawing people.
6%
off
battery.
to psych testing.
We are on our way out. Rope. Do you want to talk about your fear of rope swings?
I still don't like ropes and have not ever done a rope swing since that day. Sorry.
Okay.
That was me conquering my fear.
Ding, marry, kill. Tom, Greg, and Ian. That's something that probably we should have allowed.
Ding, marry, kill.
That is Rob's.
Tom, Greg, Ian.
One of Rob's.
I love them
signature.
all. They're all. Oh, well, Tom is the only one that isn't married anymore. I mean, Ian and Greg just got married recently within the last few weeks. And I guess I'm going to have to marry. No, I don't want to marry Tom. I don't want to marry anyone. Kill them all.
Okay.
I think the game is kill, fuck, marry. That's what we play.
Yeah, that's it is. But that Rob Sesternino does a Peih-Gee podcast, and the fan base has adopted his terminology.
Oh. We need too much time for that.
Does Karen still suck?
No, we've made.
Can the women not get an alliance together because Kimmy sucks? That's from Emba. Here's a question. Who's Mr. Fantastic?
Mr. Fantastic was this gay guy that his room was right next to mine.
He didn't make the show.
He didn't. He's made a different show though.
Huh.
This is Karen.
Here's a question. Who from your season would you like to see get a second chance? Who hasn't played since?
Doesn't everyone from my season get to play again?
Who do you think would have a great second chance story?
If Ian wanted to play, I would love to see him play again, but he doesn't want to. He's moved on. He does not want to play again.
I think he's the one who most of the fans would want to see.
Absolutely. He has totally moved on. He doesn't want to play again. If I I would love to see myself play again.
Really? You said earlier that you wouldn't.
No, I changed my mind because I drank some wine.
A few more glasses of wine and the truth comes out. All right.
Well, no, if I was a different human, I just turned 40 years old.
Okay.
And how great would that be? And with a great new heart. I guess I would have to play a totally different game, you know? I mean, I would have to be a physical threat.
Yeah.
I would have to have a lot of plastic surgery. I'd have to look like a different person.
Okay.
I would have to be like Kelly Wigglesworth. I'd have to be an amoeba. An enigma?
Survivor?
Not amoeba.
Is that what you meant to say earlier?
Enigma.
A survivor amoeba.
No, I meant an amoeba because amoeba kind of just floats around and you don't know what it is.
An enigma, yes. Can you tell us more about the Karen Grodel experience? Can you get Katie to say the following things? We can't have an all-girls alliance because Kimmy sucks. A lot of the questions hit on the same themes.
Do you want to hear my poem? Oh, sorry.
Yes, no, please do.
Okay, so this is one of the poems. They used to have me go up into casting and read poems.
Okay.
And they told me later, Lynn Spillman told me later that they knew they were going to cast me and they would just have me bring poems up and read them for their own entertainment.
Okay.
And they kept me around the whole time just because they just needed to break up the monotony of the day.
Yes. So please, this will take
I was in the character group. They had a group of characters. They had, it was down to 50 people, and I knew I was with all the gays and all the grannies and everything.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, this is good for me because I'm clearly, but I was like, where are the babes? Because I'm clearly not with the babes. Like I'm with all the characters.
Yeah.
So this is my poem called "Where Are the Babes?" This is my little picture of like a muscle man with a question mark face.
Okay.
This is dated September 6th, 2004. Monday lunch, and I would just write in my little book and put what we were eating for lunch that day. Broccoli, tastes like mildew, and I might just eat mashed potatoes because I was trying to put on some weight.
Yes.
So this poem is called "Where Are the Babes?" Question of the day. Where are the babes we so often see? The Ethans, the Burtons, the Packin, Colby. The group that I'm with, there's got to be more. With who will I practice on being a whore? There's got to be, wait, they've got to be there. Wait, fuck. There's got to be their fair grannies with their strands of gray hair. But where are the babes whose butts should be bare? There must be a room where they hide them away. I guess I must wait for the game we will play. Okay, wait, there's more. Well, I found them. Okay, so this is after I saw them in the elevator.
Yes. We are down to 3% battery.
There's a group of babes, all Abercrombie models, beautiful men and women all in a group. Well, it's official. I'm one of the characters. Great. Average IQ, though. I think I spelled flexible wrong. Emotional intelligence is high, and I'm okay with that. I wrote another poem. Bring on the bitches. Bring on the bitches. Bring on the bimbos. Bring on the girls with the rings in their nose. Bring on bring on those who crave only the fame. They'll be oh so sad when I win the game.
Well,
and then I didn't.
Let's wrap there. Now, this is disappointing. I wish we had more battery. I wish we had a AC adapter. We could go all night, but we won't. We'll say goodnight there. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing to the On the Block Podcasting Network, for following me, FY Maxwell on Twitter, Katie2Gypsy, and for being a loyal fan and listener of fan and
I didn't realize this was going to be
Survivor.
on camera, by the way.
Yes. Well, most people don't. I don't tell people that when I invite them.
This is my house, by the way.
Tune in next week. We will be once again in Los Angeles. Have not yet figured out our guest, but I promise it'll be someone who you will be happy to check in with. For now, I'm Max Dawson. This is Survivor with all the Fixins. Good night.
Bye. Thanks, guys. That was fun.
Peace. If I could just figure out how to turn this off.
Thanks, Max.